Hello, and welcome back to another Tech Tidbit. Today we're talking about a super special connector called Email Merge. Let's check it out. It's the Tech Tidbit in the new Mango. Alright everyone, let's get started here. So what we're looking at right now is the Destinations tab of a job I have created. We're going to go down right here, and as you can see, I've got two connectors added onto this job, but we want to add the connector called Email Merge. So I'm going to click on Add Connectors. And of course, if you know Umango, you know that we have a ton of backend connectors, but the one we're looking at today is called Email Merge. So we're going to add that onto our job. And right away, we've got a little window popping up here that is going to allow us to kind of dial these settings in. So let's pause for a moment. What is an email merge? Well, what an email merge connector will allow you to do is to send out an email to whomever you choose that can have merged metadata from a job that you're working on. Once we start looking at some of the options that we can configure, hopefully that makes a little more sense. So let's see what we can do here. So first off, we've got our SMTP server, and I'm going to go ahead and put in smtp.gmail.com. Let's say that we're using Gmail to communicate through my organization. And I'm going to jump on over to email configuration. As you see, we have a spot for sender and recipient. So let's look at sender first. And I want everyone to take really close notice of this box, because there's something special about this box. If you'll notice, it's got little dotted blue lines all around it. And what that means is this field supports data merging. What's data merging? Let me show you. So what we're going to do is you can either double click and get some options for what you would like to merge into this field, or we can actually just start dynamically typing. So let's say the sender here is going to be whoever processed the documents. So that's our batch processor's username. Now we'll want to go ahead and make sure to add @Gmail on the end of that, so that Umango knows what email address to send that to. Next, we're going to jump over to the recipient. And as you can see, the recipient also has a special merged data box. And what we're going to do is we're going to time out for just a moment and go back to my zones tab. So we're going to just close this out and jump over to zones. Now, as we can see, I already have a sample document uploaded into this job. And we can also see that I already have made a zone called 3D POD barcode. Now, we're going to talk about that one in a moment. But what I want to do is I want to make a new zone, and I want to tell this zone to find this email address right here. So once I've clicked and dragged and drawn a zone around it, I'm going to go zone name. So for this zone, we're going to call it client email. And come down to our zone type and change that to OCR, that text. And down below, you'll see we have options to change Tesseract or Abby. I like the Abby engine, so I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go ahead and save that zone. Now what that zone is going to do is it is going to extract this information, this email address right here, so that we can merge it into a field later on. So let's go back to our Destinations tab and back to our Email Merge connector. And we're going to need to quickly add some of this back in, just because we had to jump out of it, email configuration. But as you can see, if you know how to do this, this is such a quick process. @gmail.com. And here we already are back at where we were before. In this recipient field, I'm going to type client email. And there we go. So since this is OCRing the entire email address, I actually don't want to add @Gmail at the end of this. This should have everything we need to shoot this email out. So for our email subject, we notice that this is also another field where we can merge data into this. We saw how I already have a barcode zone set up. So what I can do is just start dynamically typing barcode. And here we have the zone for our barcode. Once again, Umango is extracting that barcode information and inputting it in right here. So when the client receives this email, they're going to see in the email subject line the barcode of the POD. But how about we go ahead and add some other text around this so it looks a little better. So POD barcode underscore, then this will display the 3D POD barcode. So now we're going to look at our email body options. And once again, we see our blue dotted line, so we know that data merging is supported in our email body. So what we might do is come down here and let's type a little something out. Dear client. So I might type find attached, POD. Now we can come up to here, type in 3D POD barcode, and insert that into our email body. So now when the client views this email, they're going to see an individual barcode number inside of the email body. And finally, we might say regards. How about we say processor user? Processor's username. Having the ability to merge this data into an email body not only gives a more personal feel to the email, it also contains more information about what you're trying to communicate about. So next we're going to jump over to our document tab here, and we see another dotted blue line, which means we know we can merge some data into here. So how about for our file name? To keep this nice and organized, we're going to put the 3D barcode, of course. But how about just before that, we do a little LDAP lookup on user's name. And then maybe after that, we might want to do the date and time. How about the current date? Beautiful. And what I might do in the middle of these different zones is I might add some underscores so that whenever the client is seeing this email, it kind of doesn't look like a bunch of stuff just jammed all together. We have a nice clean file name to present them with. And here again, we have an option to include the document as an attachment. Or we could include a copy of the document in a network folder that we have access to. This connector is so powerful and it can do so many things. For me, I'd like to include this document as an attachment. So the last set of options we're going to look at are the file type options. And if you know Umango, you know we have a plethora of different file types you can export to. For me, I'm going to choose PDF text searchable. That way, maybe somebody could do some OCR later on or something like that. OCR options, I'm going to stick with Abby. It's what we had earlier, so that sounds good. We see some options to dial that OCR in as well. Now, with all of that said and done, we're going to go ahead and save this connector. So I hope that you found this tech tidbit helpful and that you've learned a little more about the email merge connector and how it can help you in your organization. But if you have more questions, fret not. Umango has answers. In Umango, navigate to the top right-hand corner and select the cog menu, and you'll see an option that says Help and Support. Select that option, and I guarantee that we will have an answer to your question. Until next time, happy Umango.